Faulty designs, professional incompetence and greed, including disregard for building codes and regulatory bodies, have been identified as some of the factors responsible for building collapse in Nigeria today. Lagos tops the list of states with this recurring disaster. Between year 2011 and 2021, a total of 90 buildings collapsed across Nigeria. Of that figure, 26 occurred in Lagos State. More cases have been reported this year, as well as several lives lost and property worth millions destroyed. These incident collapses occurring in the nation, particularly in Lagos State, have raised so many questions on the quality of building materials, construction procedures, and the disregard for regulations. There are also accusations that some lawless developers don't comply with development regulations and cut corners, thereby endangering the lives of the citizenry, as witnessed in the recent building collapse in the state. On Panorama today, we shall beam our searchlight on building collapse, the role of developers. But you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. I am Adeola Komi Akere. Welcome to Panorama. The United States Special Presidential Envoy on Climate, John Kerry, has described as fulfilling and reassuring genuine efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari to bequeath a lasting legacy of transparent and accountable electoral process in the country for posterity. Mr. Kerry, who was former Secretary of State under the Obama administration, stated this at a dinner held in his honor by the Nigerian leader. State House correspondent Damu Sambo has the details.
The United States Presidential Envoy on Climate, Mr. John Kerry, accompanied to the State House by the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, is here to discuss with President Muhammadu Buhari the climate crisis and the role expected of the Biden administration in support of Nigeria's developmental aspirations. Describing capital as critical, Mr. Kerry said the U.S. is mobilizing trillions of dollars and bringing private sector companies to the table on what he called the economic transformation drive that will be bigger than the transformation of the Industrial Revolution. The focus, he emphasized, is rebuilding of critical infrastructure in various economic sectors so as to enable many more of those in need live a modern life.
And I understand the relationship of your gas to producing you with revenue to be able to do by yourself some of the things that you need to do. We're fully committed to help Nigeria develop. And we would like to see you break out of being an emerging economy to be an emerged economy and really close on the road to the development necessary.
And as Nigerians return to the polls next year to elect new political office holders, the U.S. Presidential Envoy expressed optimism in the ability of the Buhari administration to deliver a credible and acceptable democratic enterprise.
I respect enormously the legacy that you are fighting to leave to your country. I saw the difference that your efforts and the Commission's efforts made by fighting to have an election that was calm, peaceful, in which everybody could participate, and where you could have confidence in the results. I simply want to commend you for making that a goal as you begin to come to the close of your term as president.
President Muhammadu Buhari expressed Nigeria's appreciation to the United States for its continued support in critical areas of need over the years. His administration, he said, now in its last lap, is committed to making every day count in the delivery of public good. The president enumerated the completion of critical infrastructure projects, net zero emission energy transition, as well as entrenching a durable democratic culture as major areas of focus for sustainable future of the country. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has commiserated with the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Catriona Lang, the British royal family, government and people of the United Kingdom over the death of Queen Elizabeth II. In a condolence letter delivered to the British High Commission in Abuja, the First Lady described the deceased as an outstanding leader and a role model to monarchs the world over, as well as women in Nigeria, for her exemplary life of love, motherly support, and dignifying courage. The First Lady added that in the 7 decades of late Queen Elizabeth II's unprecedented service tenure, the United Kingdom became a truly multicultural nation, peaceful and tolerant, even as she successfully consolidated the Commonwealth of Nations into one of the most formidable economic and socio-cultural blocs among the Committee of Nations. The First Lady further described the monarch as one of great influence who presided over the independence of almost all former British colonies and witnessed the emergence of several women as presidents and prime ministers in various countries of the world. Mrs. Buhari said the deceased's long reign was without doubt the most eventful in the modern history of the UK and beyond, and will remain an exceptional legend who died at a time when her counsel and lifelong experience are most needed globally. The First Lady further stated that the Queen will be greatly missed by her subjects as well as the global community. Meanwhile, Nigeria requires rapid markets integration, a collective model, and enhanced trade policies to boost its trade volume globally. Nigerian High Commissioner to the Court of St. James's, London, Sarafa Tunji Shola, described this when he received the Executive Director, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and his delegation at the Nigerian High Commission in the United Kingdom. Comfort Amudu reports from London.
Emerging economies are now taking keen interest in the manufacturing and agro-aligned industries, and this has led to projection that the African manufacturing sector could reach $666 billion by 2030. To align with trends, Nigeria must deepen its drive for local industries to meet the growing demand. The good news is that this is achievable, says the Nigerian High Commissioner here in London, but only if the relevant agencies work together for the common good. The Nigerian envoy is advocating greater cooperation between government agencies for ease of business and export.
We are trying to maximize the benefit of Brexit. After Brexit, Africa is the next market.
Dr. Ezra Yakusak, Executive Director of Nigerian Export Promotion Council, is appreciative of the diplomat for the significant impact the Commission is making to strengthen bilateral relations with the host country, affirming the NEPC's resolve to collectively promote trade with key agencies.
We are going back as a team to see how we can fix things and see how we can explore the window, possibility of getting orders from Nigeria.
Dr. Yakusak adds that the Council is determined to harness the full potential of export for an inclusive and sustainable development of Nigeria's economy. From London, United Kingdom, Comfort Amodu, NTA News.
And back home, talking security. Though seizure of smuggled items does not fall within the mandate of the Navy, but in carrying out its responsibility of securing the waterways, the Nigerian Navy has constantly demonstrated that it is keeping eagle eyes over the country's exclusive economic zone. One of such efforts paid off recently as more than 620 bags of foreign rice and 57 wraps of cannabis sativa with one suspect were apprehended and handed over to relevant agencies. Lynn Leneke reports.
Stretching from the creeks in Badagry down to the border town of Seme falls under the area of responsibility of the Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base in Badagry, and in one of its usual surveillance on the waters, these consignments laden in 2 boats were intercepted. The Nigerian Navy says the motive behind its seizure is purely based on the fact that it contradicts its mandate of protecting the nation's economy. This arrest, according to the Forward Operating Base in Badagry, was made possible through the efforts of its officers and men in a routine patrol on board NNS Sokoto.
It gives us the opportunity to sound a note of warning to the perpetrators of this heinous crime, that we not rest on our hours. We continue to mount aggressive patrol and to pursue them until they are brought to book.
The commanding officer, Forward Operating Base, Badagry, Navy Captain James Otache, handed over the items to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the Nigerian Customs for further investigation and prosecution.
We, on our own part, we are doing our best to see that we track down the cartels. As you can see, there is no suspect, so our intelligence unit is being activated to follow up and see how we can arrest the perpetrators.
He has provided a lot of logistics. We are doing our own bit on our own side, and we cannot do it all, and that is why we need this synergy from other sister agencies.
The Navy says it is determined to thwart all forms of illegality through persistent and aggressive operations to enforce national laws and engender economic growth and prosperity. In Lagos, Lynn Leneke, NTA News.
To aviation matters. Bridging the gap between the volume of Nigeria's import and export through the airports is generating debate on the need to develop a well-detailed national aviation cargo guide to boost the global presence of a country in the air freighting business. Michael Olaleye reports that as a push towards the actualization of this, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria FAN says 14 airports are already being processed to start operating fully as agro-allied cargo airports.
In the face of dwindling passengers traffic due to inflation in airfare, key players in the aviation industry are seeing massive opportunities in the freight and cargo subsector. But the statistics are not encouraging. In 2019, for instance, records from the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria (FAN) showed that while Nigeria's air cargo import stands at 131 million tons, the country exported only 16 million tons.
Biggest producer of yam, one of the biggest producers of ginger, cashew, and so many things. So I think we should also be the biggest and the busiest airport for exports in Africa.
Stakeholders say there is need to put together a comprehensive document that will serve as export guide for willing investors. A crusade the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority is championing, but the agency is calling for collaborative efforts that will lead to investments in infrastructure where they are lacking.
We are trying to provide a very conducive environment where they will have the confidence, the comfort, and the belief that their money is safe.
One of the positives going forward is that FAN will be leveraging on the special economic zone status granted to 4 airports in Nigeria to stimulate the volume of export cargo.
It means nobody now needs to go to NEPSA to apply to have this benefits or register as a economic zone business. When you have that intention to benefit, you register with this special machinery that is going to be at the airport.
Key players say The debate for a well-coordinated aviation cargo guide is apt as well to offer the much-needed impetus to harnessing the air freighting business for economic growth. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
You are watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. Let's take a short break. More news when we return, but don't forget you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. We'll be right back.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
We're glad to know you're still with us. For a whole week in November 2021, the entire world watched in shared grief as not less than 45 bodies were recovered from the rubble of a collapsed 21-story luxury apartment building on Gerald Road in Ikoyi, Lagos. Time and again, awful memories of that incident have been brought back by a series of collapsed buildings in different parts of Lagos where innocent people paid the supreme price. In this package, Rotharia Samuel brings us a report on the place of developers.
1 minute it is standing tall and providing shelter. Then it crumbles to a pile of rubbles, an entrapment for the very ones that made it. Cases of building collapse in Lagos State have assumed an alarming dimension, grossing an average of about 2 incidents per week. As a liberalized industry where private sector participation is huge, the real estate sector is dominated by private developers whose expertise is expected to make building construction a safe and standard affair.
Developers are the owners of buildings, and so the initiation or the thought in the first place to put up a structure is in their court, and everything that is associated with building is actually, the ball is in their court. They select contractors, they control material utilization, and of course, they are the ones who say, yes, it has reached a stage where the building is available and should be put into service.
But is that really the case?
The kind of structure they put there, that land is too small for that structure. And they are coming, I don't know how they approve that.
There are some houses that you will see the shape. They'll give you one side shape like this. Some look as if they are going to fall tomorrow.
You give your jobs due diligence. Let the right people get involved. People want to boycott the payment and say, my father had built so many houses, I can build. Of course you can build.
Observations have shown a trend where a new generation of building owners hand over inherited estates to developers for reconstruction, mostly away from approved building plan. The need for quality control, experts say, should be a prime consideration for all stakeholders, with government in the lead. In Lagos, Ruth Ariel Samuel, NTA News.
And joining me via Zoom to discuss ways in addressing the frequent cases of building collapse in Lagos State is Engineer Kasim Abdul Ali, past President, Nigeria Society of Engineers and Koran. Good to have you join us, Engineer.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're talking about building collapse. It is becoming an embarrassing situation where every month there are cases of building collapse, especially in Lagos. What do you think is responsible for this?
The first major thing is carelessness and negligence. Negligence mainly because, like they say, it's no rocket science to put a structure on any soil at all. And Lagos especially has the highest concentration of qualified individuals to put any structure on ground in this country. So it's a huge embarrassment and an insult to us as a nation and as a people. But the real cause is negligence fueled by greed.
Okay, now, people are pointing accusing fingers at developers and their activities and consider them one of the key factors responsible for incessant building collapse. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. And I would like to add that our developers have become excessively greedy and wicked to the extent that they do not want to, they want to reap where they have not sown. They want to offer poor quality buildings and earn maximally. In the process, they don't use the right human beings, don't use the right materials, and the consequences are what we witness almost on a daily basis.
Okay, we have heard of scenarios where these developers prevent authorized government officials who are supposed to come and assess the state of the building, the project they are undertaking. You know, they have security men who prevent people from coming to assess their project. What ways do you think the government can stop them from doing that?
You know, government is about security and welfare of the people.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody, no individual can overwhelm government. So when government decides not to occupy a place, it's because they are not ready to do that. And it goes to this greed. Sometimes the owners of these buildings are also government officials who are protecting their own, using official powers to protect their private interests. So that's why you see that drama. Until there's a decision that government will act as government, penalize whoever is found culpable. This will continue. It's just because government is not doing what it's supposed to do. That's how I have this. How many people have been, apart from those that God has passed judgment on, by taking their lives along with the other innocent people? Who else has government prosecuted successfully in this country? Why the collapse that took place in Lagos so many years ago? The case is in court, and there's frustration there in court to drag it on so that maybe after 20 years people will forget about it and they could to the same thing. So that's what happens. Unfortunately, this is what happens in our country. Government protecting private interests.
Okay, now, apart from being the financiers of the building project, where does the developer's job start and end?
The developer's job starts from even the thing after acquiring the land, recruiting who it's a mission.
Well, we apologize. That's the much time we'll afford us to take on that, barring the break in the audio there. We were actually discussing with engineer Kashim Abdul Ali, a former president of Nigerian Society of Engineers and Koran. We heard his thoughts and we thank him for coming on Panorama. It's now time to join our sports desk for some sports news.
Vice President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Seyi Akiwumi, has promised to take Nigerian football to greater heights. Akiwumi said his intention to contest for the post of NFF president